Okay, see now Painless has got me on one. So now it's like it's story sharing time right here. So let me, and since we're on the subject of cheating, let me just share with you another story that I have. This one is related to me though. It's directly related to me. So I just moved into this apartment complex where I live now about a year ago. It'll be a year this month. And maybe like 2 months, maybe a month after me moving in, and I might be exaggerating even on that time frame, my neighbor, who happens to be a black guy and he has a black wife, approaches me and, just small talk. He tells me about the area and informs me of certain, just certain things related to the neighborhood. So I'm like, okay, that was very nice. And I didn't think anything of it. And at the time, I thought he was a single guy. So I was like, okay, he seems like a nice man. So time goes by, and maybe a couple of weeks go by, and eventually I see that he has a wife. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. See two black people together, look like they're in love, they're on their way to church. It's like, it's so cool. Um, so, and then I realized they have a son, two grown sons. And I'm like, okay, so this is a full family. Like this is like the American dream right here. So cool. Um, so anyways, the guy approaches me one day in the parking lot and he says to me, hey, I came by your apartment the other day and knocked on the door, but you weren't there. And I'm thinking in my head, why would you be coming to my apartment? Like, why are you knocking on my door anyways? So I said, oh yeah. I said, well, what did you come by for? Were you gonna, tell me something? And he said, no, I just wanted to come by and, chat with you a little bit and blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh, okay, well, hopefully I'll hear you when you come by the next time. So anyways, a month, 2 months go by and I barely see him. And then I see him again and he always approaches me in the parking lot. So he says to me, hey, I really like to get to know you, talk to you more. How about we go somewhere and have coffee? And I said, yeah, that would be cool. Just, let me know when you're available and we can go have some coffee. Now, in my head, at this point, I'm not even thinking about the wife factor because even though, I'm street smart, I am. Don't get me wrong. But I don't always think the worst of a person immediately. Not always. So I didn't think anything of it. Of course, I didn't hear anything from him. He didn't come tapping on my door or anything. So some more months go by. And at this point, now it's sunk into my head that why is this man always approaching me when his wife isn't around? Why is this man asking, to take me out to coffee and he isn't including his wife in that invitation? Like, oh, why don't you, me, and my wife go out and have some coffee or something like that. He isn't doing that. So the next time he approaches me in the parking lot, he says to me, hey, why don't we exchange numbers and you we can go out for coffee. So I said, listen here. I said, you have a wife and I know this. I said, so if you're inviting me to go to coffee, I hope that invitation includes your wife. And as soon as I said that, he had his cell phone open so he could, punch my number in. Apparently, guys don't write down your number anymore. They just punch it in. It's a really slick way for a cheater to get a bunch of numbers and, his wife never knows about it. So anyways, he closes the cell phone as I'm talking. And he says, "Oh, okay. Yeah, it's cool." And he walks away. And I walked away laughing to myself because I was like, what a jerk. You know, here I am, and I'm trying to be cool, trying to be friendly, trying to be neighborly, and it took me, a woman who has no obligation to this other woman. And by the way, the wife, oh, treats me like shit. Oh yeah, doesn't like me, won't even speak to me. Just, real nasty attitude toward me. And I've always spoken to her, always, ever since day one of moving here. I've always spoken to her, always tried to be cordial, and just, I always tried to smile when I saw her, because I know how we have that reputation, especially black women to black women. We have that reputation of being kind of nasty toward each other. So I'm always very conscious of that, and I try not to be that way, especially toward black women, because I don't want them to think, oh, here comes another one. So, and I'm just like, you know what? Thinking to myself, bitch, if I were really a dirty bitch, I could have easily taken your man's name, met up with him, and possibly even hooked up with him if I wanted to. And here you are treating me like shit. You should be treating him like shit. He's the one and believe me, if he's done that to me, he's chasing other women as well. It's not like all of a sudden I'm just so fine that I'm the exception to the rule. Hell no. If he did that with me, he's definitely approaching other women about, meeting him for coffee as friends or whatever. I'm like, yeah, some friend. I tell you to invite your friggin' wife to coffee with us, and all of a sudden the friendship is over. It's ridiculous. So I just wanted to follow up on that one, and I want to know from viewers in relationships, especially women. I want to know, how do I put this? How do you throw off the advances of men that are in relationships, either in, have a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship or a married relationship? How do you get rid of those guys who are approaching you even though they're in a relationship? Or do you get rid of them? Maybe you don't. I mean, there's a benefit to, having an affair with a married man. It's not a long commitment benefit, but it could be a monetary benefit. So I want to know from the ladies who maybe they are out there doing it with married men. I want to hear from you guys too. So, hit me up, send me comments, give me video responses, but make it interesting and make it honest. Like, please be honest about, your experiences with this kind of situation, because I'm sure it's not unique. It happens quite often. I'll bet money on that. So get back with me.